talk about what you'll need for this painting. I use 3 brushes, a bigger brush, a medium brush, and a smaller brush for details. I use Arteza brand paints. These are the colors I'll be using for this painting. If you don't have these exact colors, that's totally fine. You can mix something similar to them, or use different colors completely. Okay, so let's get started. Using my big brush to start, I like to just get a little bit of water on it and then blot it out. I'm gonna mix a light pink color using my apricot and white paint with a little bit of the brighter pink as well. And I'm putting the horizon line about 1/4 of the way down on the painting. And from there I'll paint the sky that light pink color. I like to use big paint strokes that go from either side of the canvas. That just helps make everything go smoother. Okay, next we're going to add a little bit of blue to that pink mixture, and then I'll be adding that purpley color to the corners of the canvas and along the sides a little bit as well. Make sure your paintbrush is nice and clean for this next part. I'm mixing green, blue, and a little bit of black to get a dark teal color. And with that color, I'm gonna go over my horizon line. And don't worry too much about this line being perfectly straight. We're going to be adding a lot of layers on top of this anyway. Okay, let's paint down a little bit, about 1 inch or so. And then with the dry brush, add some more of that dark green color towards the bottom of the canvas. Don't worry too much about placement here. As long as you have some of that dark green coming through, that's all that really matters. Okay, next I'm mixing my apricot and my bright pink. And I'm going to do the bottom quarter of the painting with this color. And next I added some black to my brush, and I'm going over that horizon line to make that line a little bit straighter and a little bit more defined. So I'm going to continue to add black into the darkest green parts of this painting. These dark areas will be where the waves are, so make sure you like the placement. Next I'm going to add green and blue together, and I went right on top of that purple mixture. It was pretty much already dry, but I was okay with getting some purple into it as well. I'm going to go in and add this color on some of the white canvas that's sticking out. If at any point you feel like your brush is really dry and not covering the canvas the way you'd like it to, just add some water to your paint mixture. I'm using acrylic paint, so water works really great with it. I'm going to keep going in with that blue and green mixture and fill in as much of that white canvas as I can. Don't worry about mixing enough paint to finish out your project. If I ever run out of a color and need to make it again, I actually like that it's a little bit different than the first time I made it. I think those subtle color changes make paintings more interesting. So instead of going back and forth like I was in the middle on top of the painting, I'm going to go a little bit more diagonally off the left-hand side of the canvas. And eventually this will look more like a wave crashing. I'm going to continue those lines through the pink at the bottom of the canvas. Eventually we'll add some more color in there to show the foamy wave crashing in. So I mixed my two blue paints together and decided it wasn't dark enough, so I added a little bit of black to it. So I'm taking that dark blue color and putting it through the water. We're going to be adding a lot of different colors to the water, so it doesn't really matter where you place it. I'm aiming to put that color towards the edges of my canvas. Those will eventually be darker, and then we're going to brighten up the center where the sun is. Okay, now I'm going to take some of that dark blue color and put it on the corners of the canvas. I want to make the sky a little bit darker. Now I'm going to take some more of that lighter blue and mix it in to the blue I just put on the canvas. And then switching to my big brush, I'm going to blend that across the top of the canvas. The pink underneath is dry, but I'm blending the two blues on top of it, and that pink will still show through a little bit. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of that bright pink and mix it into my blue mixture. And I'm just going to add a little bit more of that to the corners and make the corners a little bit darker. Still used my big brush, and I just blended my apricot and my dark pink together, and I'm putting that more towards the center top of my painting. This is where we want the lighter parts to end up. So going back to my medium brush, I'm taking that dark pink and apricot and blending those together again. And starting above the horizon line, I'm going to add some paint strokes of that color into the sky. And again, placement doesn't matter too much for this, but I am mostly putting it in the center top of the canvas, because we do want the edges to be darker and the middle to be lighter. that color now and bring it down into the water. I just added a little bit of blue to it to darken it a little bit. Now I have more of a purpley color that I'm putting in the water. And again, I'm using my medium brush for this, and my paint strokes are pretty choppy. I like that texture. I'm not worried about it being too smooth. So now I'm mixing pink and white together. And with that pink and white mixture, going back into the center of the water and adding little bits of that in. And you can bring that color down towards the bottom of your canvas. And I'm just going back and forth with my brush along the bottom here. Still using that pink color, still using my medium brush. And I'm just gonna fill in. You can also take your brush and go diagonally towards that black line that we originally made. We're going to try to keep those strokes the same as we fill this part in. And using that pink mixture, I'm going to define this line where the ocean meets the sand. And you just want a wavy line at the bottom. The shape doesn't matter too much as long as there's a little bit of a wave in there. So next I'm going to take my apricot and put in where the sun will eventually be. So I'm going to start with just some back and forth paint strokes up in the sky. And then I'm going to take that pink and go right on top and mix onto the canvas. And then I'm just going to add some more paint strokes of that pink color. And then taking some more of that pink, I'm going to go into the water. So I'm placing the pink still in the middle of the water since it's a brighter color. I want to keep all of my brighter and lighter colors in the center of the water and the darker ones towards the edges. So next I want to take some more of that apricot and highlight where the sun will eventually be. So I'll be placing the sun just above the horizon. And I'll blend that in a little bit so the paint strokes aren't as harsh. And I'll take that apricot and pink and put that under the horizon line where the sun will be reflecting. And then you can just take that color and put it throughout parts of your painting. You can see I'm putting this color mostly in the middle of the water as well, and leaving the edges the darker greens and purples. So then I mixed together my pink and yellow to get a bright orange, and I'm going to put that along the bottom of the waves and throughout the middle as well, with just a little bit in the sun. So now I have my medium brush and that orange color that I mixed earlier, and I'm going to put that in the sand at the bottom edge of the canvas. And I'm adding in some of that apricot as well. And adding some more apricot towards the middle and where the water is hitting the sand. Now I'm going to take that apricot and put it in the water. And since this color is another light color, I'm going to aim to keep that in the middle of the water. So now I'm defining the horizon line and the waves with black. And now I'm going to add in some paint strokes that go diagonally down from the black lines that we made earlier for the waves. And especially the one at the bottom here, I want this one to have the most detail, so I'm going to go in with the black paint and define the edge of the wave, and then bring down the black paint towards the left hand side of the canvas to add some shadows in. So I'm continuing along the bottom wave with those black paint strokes, and I'll do the same for the other ones in the background as well. Now I'm going to take my black paint and lightly outline the bottom where the water hits the sand. So now I'm mixing green, blue, and white together. And I'm going to switch to my smaller brush for this. So with that mixture, I'm going to start just under the horizon line and put in some lines. So I'm putting this color directly above the black shadows that we made earlier. I'm using short choppy strokes for this. I don't want the lines to be perfectly smooth. I'd rather have more texture than a smooth line. So I'm going a little heavier on the bottom wave. This wave is going to be more defined in the end. So I'm going to make this light green mixture a little bit thicker so I can add in some more highlights later. And now I'm going to take that same color mixture and make a nice thick line of it above that black line. I'm just going to keep adding in some more small details with that light color. So since I want these lines really thin, I'm just lightly hitting the canvas with my brush. And I'm going to continue with that mixture and do some diagonal lines in my wave in the front. So now I'm going to mix a dark green. I just used my green and black paint. And I'm going to use this color to transition between the black and the blue. So I'm just using some diagonal strokes again, and I'm putting this color between where the black and blue hit, so it's not such a harsh transition. And I'm just going to take this mixture and put it in some of the background waves as well to lighten them up just a little bit. So now I'm going to use my small brush and just plain white paint and bring out the highlights on top of the waves. So I'm taking my white and putting it on top of the light color we put in just a few minutes ago. As I'm putting in the white paint, I'm also squiggling my brush around a little bit to get some texture in there. And for this bottom wave, since we have a little bit more room to work with, I'm gonna just put in a little bit more texture with the white paint, moving my brush around in different directions. And then I'm going in with the white paint and defining this line where the water meets the sand. I want this area to be nice and light because that's usually where all the foam gathers. And then I'm going to take my brush and put in some wavy lines to show where the water is really reflecting the light. So then, continuing with my small brush and white paint, I'm going to make a spot where I want the sun to be. And after I get that placed in, I'm going to put in some of the yellow paint and just define it a little bit more. I'm not drawing a perfect circle, I'm just doing a few paint strokes to show the light coming through the clouds. And then I'm going to put that color in just a few spots in the water. Whenever I add a color to a section of the painting, I do like to just add some more of it throughout the painting to make it cohesive. So I'm switching to my medium brush and a watery white paint, and I'm going to use that to just splatter some white paint onto where the waves are crashing. So next I'm going to take my big brush and paint the edges of my canvas. So you can do this any way you'd like. If you want to just do the same color all the way around, that works, or I like to use a similar color to the front of the canvas. So I'm just taking whatever color is similar to the top of the canvas and wrapping that around the edges of my canvas. Alright, that is everything for today's tutorial. Thanks so much for painting with me. If you did a beach painting of your own, I would love to see it. You can find me on Instagram at Between Pines, and if you post a picture of your beach painting on there and tag me in it, I would love to see what you came up with.